Welcome. Happy Sunday. I hope everyone is doing well. Welcome to On the Pen, a weekend edition. I hope you're all doing well. My name is Dave Knapp, ManOnMounjaro. That's why I'm here. You are on the pen. That's why you're here. Wegovy, Saxenda, Victoza, Trulicity, Mounjaro, Zepbound. That pen, that's what we talk about here. And I hope that you're all enjoying your day. Let me know in the chat if you're new. I would love to welcome you by name if you are new. And it's good to be here with you all on a Sunday. There's just a little bit of news this week, a lot of it from the endocrinology summit that's taking place. And I'm excited to share a little bit of information that's come out of that. There will be more information today. Of course, we'll have a full rundown on the podcast tomorrow. That drops on Tuesdays. Every Tuesday, you can catch the On the Pen, the Weekly Dose podcast. We have cracked the top 20 several times since its launch in January, and the podcast is just taking off. So thank you for being a part of that. If you have gone over and given a 5-star rating and review, I would love it if you would let me know in the chat that you have. If you haven't, I'd love it if you'd go over there and do that. Drop a 5-star rating and review. Hey, Donna, Mimi, Mama, welcome. Tay, how are you? Hope, Carrie, good afternoon. Cher, good to see you. Mama Glinda, happy Sunday. Trillis, happy Sunday. Welcome. So we're going to get into a little bit of news. Hey, Peter and Angela, welcome. I am just coming live to you. I'm going to let you know up front. Corey, thank you for sharing the live. I appreciate it. Welcome in. If you're new here, my name is Dave Knapp. I'm the man on the Mounjaro. We cover all things Wegovy, Saxenda, Victoza, Trulicity, Mounjaro, Zepbound. Thank you for the gifts over on TikTok. I appreciate that. We're streaming live both to TikTok and to YouTube today. Hey, Charmed, how are you today? I am doing well. Thank you so much for asking. So I'm going to start with a little bit of housekeeping. If you missed Thursday night's episode of On the Pen Live, it was a On the Pen Live for the record books. We had CEO and co-founder Zachariah Reitano, who is the CEO of Ro. If you're not familiar with Ro, it's one of the largest telehealth companies in the world. It's an $8 billion company. Hope Cher said it was amazing. I'm glad that you joined us. If you didn't catch it, you got to go back and catch that. That's the great thing about YouTube is you can always go back and watch it on demand. And there's a whole playlist of all episodes. It was episode 68, I believe, 68 or 69 of On the Pen. And so we're getting up there on the Pen. David, I'm doing good. How are you today? Welcome. If you're just joining for the first time, make sure that you follow my channel by hitting that button that says follow. On YouTube, it says subscribe. We'd love to stick around with you. So a little bit of housekeeping. A little bit of housekeeping that I wanted to get into today is that Wednesday, my son Sawyer has surgery. So Wednesday on the 5th, he has surgery. So your thoughts and prayers are appreciated for him. Because of that, I am going to be taking Thursday off. Thursday is also my wife and I's 16th wedding anniversary. So big day Thursday for the family. Friday is my birthday. So I was thinking about maybe if I have time jumping on and doing a little birthday live with you on Friday. It'll be my 39th birthday. And maybe I'll spend a little time with you on that day if I have time. Corey said she was just praying for him and me a little bit. That's so sweet, Corey. I so greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much for the prayers and the thoughts. Thank you, Kelly. Says happy anniversary. Happy everything, says Jen. It's a huge week for us in June. Usually I take it off, but as you all may know, I've taken a lot of time off recently for sick kids, right? So, fellow Gemini, that's right. Hello, Gail. How are you today? Welcome, Cutie Pie's World. Welcome. Welcome. So yeah, thank you all for that. So let's get into the basement's good. It's cleaned up. It's ready to go. We actually did On the Pen Live. Somebody wants to know what my big takeaways were. Allie just got her 3 boxes of MJ. Congratulations, Allie. I'm glad to hear that. Somebody asked what my key takeaways were with my discussion with Zachariah Reitano from Ro. I gotta say, one of my big takeaways from Z was that he's a huge advocate for helping the community, right? So obviously, as a CEO of a publicly traded company, big company like Ro, profits are important, right? But he really does genuinely, in all my interactions with him, both on and off screen and sort of behind the scenes, the guy is just super genuine. So it is just good to see that some of these telehealth companies in here, even though there's lots of opportunity from a business standpoint, it's good to see that there are some that are in here that are truly passionate about providing accessibility to healthcare, right? Because as we talk about healthcare in the United States, it's so important that we maintain accessibility to telemedicine. And Ro was obviously one of the first in the game to be there. And so it was a really great conversation with Zachariah. And my biggest takeaway was I can't wait to have more conversations with him. We talked about of course, the shortage tracker that they have added, which I've done some videos about. You can find that at ro.co/supply-tracker. And so you can check that out, or just Google GLP-1 supply tracker, right? That should take you right there. So that is, it's birthday and anniversary this week. So my anniversary and my wife's anniversary is on the 6th, and then my birthday is on the 7th. So 6th and 7th are big days, and my son's surgery is on the 5th. So that's the order of events this week. So it's a huge week in the Knapp household. So big week. So we'll be probably skipping on the pin, but we may do a birthday live later this week. So let's get into some of the news this week from the Endo Summit. Of course, we're going to get more news today on retatrutide and tirzepatide and the clinical trials involved there. And sorry, my kids are climbing a tree. I got to make sure nobody breaks their neck in the process. And so the interesting thing to come out this past weekend was basically that what we have seen with studies now. There was a study done on tirzepatide, and it basically took 30 women, and the average age was 34, right? So 30 women, average age 34. And what they did was they wanted to see how their brains responded to the intake of sugar. So basically what they did is they put these women through an MRI machine and gave them sugar. And so there was a control group that had placebo, and there was obviously a semaglutide group. The group that was getting semaglutide actually had a higher response in their brain to the sugar intake, and the thought was that, and it was big, like it was a major response. And what they found with obesity is that people with obesity tend to respond less to sugar, but be more drawn to it. And so this kind of, shows that semaglutide has the propensity to be a remedy in that regard, in that if you can increase the response in the brain, that you can get more control over the intake of sugar. And so a very interesting study, and what they also found was that over time there was sort of a regeneration of the taste buds on people's tongue. Hey, Miss T, how are you today? Welcome, it's good to see you here. It's always fun to see the OGs drop in, and thank you for being here. So it is super interesting thing to see some of the anecdotes that we've heard people say. I mean, how many people, put it in the chat if this is you, right? Because I've heard so many people say, my taste buds are different. I have developed there's a food that I used to enjoy. Hey, Mystic, how are you? There's a food that I used to enjoy, and now it's repulsive, right? So if that's you, put me in the chat. I would love to hear from you if that's your situation. So we're seeing that now play out in clinical trials. So that's one of the things that we learned from the Endo thing this week. So Amy, Nicole, Gail, KB, Will, they're all saying, hey, that's me. I mean, my taste buds have changed. And I mean, it's kind of the spectrum, everything from I don't need as much of it as I used to I used to only be able to eat sugary things, and now all I eat is fruit and vegetables, or now all I want is protein, right? And this is a dual stream, Candace. We're on YouTube and we're on Facebook as well. And so people are saying, that to some extent that they have no desire to eat sugary substances anymore, and some are saying that they're outright repulsed by it. So it's fascinating. The other thing that I've heard as I put this video out the other day is I've heard from many people who say that they don't like coffee anymore. Now this particular thing was not included in the trial, although they didn't just stick with sugary. They went with salty and bitter, I think, as well. But obviously the sugary thing is the thing that many people are trying to break, right? So that was really interesting news. More news. Thank you for the gifts, and thank you. I'm going to take this time just to pause and say, if you are not following me over on Instagram, my videos over on TikTok are not, I mean, I'm hitting like 1% of my followers when I post. So if you could do me a favor right now and go over and actually follow my Instagram account. So go to Instagram and look up @ManOnMounjaro, and I would love it if you would give me a follow there. I'm going to pause this for just a second here. be right back. Peter with the $4.99 super chat. He's 2.5 milligram user, have a 90-day supply of 2.5 and found out that they have 5 in stock. Feeling, hey, if they have 5 in stock, you can see if your doctor would write the script so you can fill it. That's always an option. Hey, Evelyn, can you go shut mommy's door, please? So yeah, you could talk about having your doctor write that script. It's definitely a conversation for your doctor, but your practitioner, if they write you a script for the 5 milligram and you're on the 2.5, your insurance will see that as a new script, and they also have to cover that. So it's an option to look at, Peter, for sure. Thank you, Gail, for following on Instagram. If you went over and followed me on Instagram, put IG in the chat. Again, I'm trying to do a big push today. One of the big reasons that I'm going live today is to do this push. So if you can help me reach a goal, we're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers over on Instagram, and I think we're at like 3855 right now. So with 130 people over on YouTube watching, there's another 100 people watching on TikTok. If you could go over and follow my Instagram account and just come back and put IG, that would be super. Help me reach that goal. All right, thank you. So nurse practitioner Fast Doc, Yvette, Gail, thank you for the follows on IG. Really, really appreciate that. I hate how Charmed with the $4.99 super chat on YouTube. Thank you for the super chat. I see you, Black Sam. Second Denial for Zep. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good to have you all here. Let's see here. Let's see. Are we frozen over on TikTok? I think, I don't know. Let me know if we're frozen over on TikTok. It looks like we are. Renee, yeah, the diagnosis code is important when you consider the prior authorizations on the medication. So yeah, thank you for those who are going and following on Instagram. Really appreciate it. That's the goal today, is to do that. Let's see, I'm going to have to fire up this live again on TikTok. So we're going to get into the second bit of news that I wanted to talk to you about today. The second bit of news coming out of the 2024 Endo Summit. And we're going to let TikTok catch up here and get a few more people in here. And we'll talk about the second bit of information. You're going to really want to stay tuned here if you are a lady, because this is really excellent news for you. Thank you for the follow on Instagram, Samantha. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, if your BMI doesn't meet criteria. And the other thing that's important when we're talking about prior authorizations, especially if you've been on Zepbound and you're trying to continue your journey on Zepbound, one of the most important things for you to consider talking to your doctor about is when if there's a new PA required of your doctor and you've been on and say you had reached the goal that you wanted to reach and you're no longer qualifying from a BMI standpoint, your doctor, when they write that PA, should be including should be writing your initial starting weight, not your current weight. And that's the guideline to sort of make sure that you keep on your journey, right, with your insurance company. So have them use your starting weight, not your current weight. I'm on Instagram at ManOnMounjaro. So just like I am pretty much everywhere, you can follow me on Instagram at ManOnMounjaro. Would love to have you follow me over there. We are trying to get to 4,000 over there. So if you're following here on YouTube, thank you for being here. I'm Dave Knapp, ManOnMounjaro. That's why I'm here. You are on the pen. That's typically why the algorithm finds you here, although now there's fitness to the shorts feeds. So one of the things that you'll want to know about my channel is that we talk about all things GLP-1, type 2 diabetes, obesity, but we especially talk about Zepbound, Mounjaro, Ozempic, Wegovy, Saxenda, Victoza, Trulicity. We answer questions, right? I'm just a lay person. I'm sharing my experience as a type 2 diabetic on Mounjaro, and I cover all things news. And so we're going to get into, thank you, Cher, for the follow over on YouTube or on Instagram. We're trying to get to 4,000 over there. Free Britain. All right. Thank you, Duke, for following. It's nice to meet you as well. I'm Dave. It's nice to meet you. I hope that you will continue to follow along. Again, we cover all the news. So one of the news articles or news items that I wanted to cover with you on this live today is that we wanted to share with you some of the interesting aggregate data that's come up out of the Surmount trial. So check this out, really fascinating stuff here. The Surmount trials are the obesity trials for Zepbound that have taken place, and there's been many trials, right? We've had cardiovascular studies, we've had weight loss studies, obviously we've had sleep apnea studies, and what they found across all these trials, and if you're a lady, time to listen up, because many ladies have often complained, every time my husband tries to drop a few pounds, what tends to happen is he loses it faster than I do. What's up with that? So a quick reminder, if you're watching, that hit the like button, hit that like, hit that bell, hit that sub, especially if you're watching over on YouTube. If you can hit that thumbs up button, hit that love button over here on TikTok. With these GLP-1 medications, now we don't have an answer as to why this is, right? But we just know that it is a thing. Women across the aggregate Surmount trials lost up to 25% of their body weight on average, okay? That's 25% body weight on average. Thank you for the likes over on YouTube. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Thank you for the likes over on TikTok as well. Thank you for those who are giving gifts too. We've gotten several people who have thrown super chats. I appreciate you. 25% of their body weight. Guess what it was for men? 18%, right? So you're talking about 25% weight loss for women on tirzepatide versus 18 for men. Now these trials are really, there's more women in the trials than there are men, but even with the newer class of medications, thank you for the likes on YouTube, there is a pattern that we're seeing. Even though they've increased the amount of women in the retatrutide trials, the weight loss is still higher for women on retatrutide, where they're up in the 28% weight loss for women and down near the 22% for men. So huge difference in the way that men and women respond to these medications. Thank you for the reminder. If you want to follow me over on Instagram at ManOnMounjaro, this is one of the reasons that we're live today, is to just encourage everybody who's following me wherever you're at today to go over, pop over to Instagram, give me a follow as well. So thank you for being here. I'm Dave Knapp, ManOnMounjaro. I'm saying this over and over again because we have a lot more new people jumping into the stream. I cover all things GLP-1. So if you've heard of Ozempic, right? Ozempic, Wegovy, Saxenda, Victoza, Trulicity, Zepbound is the big new one. So there's Zepbound and Wegovy. Essentially what these are incretin mimetic hormone therapies, right? So you've got incretin hormones, which are hormones in your body that are responsible for how fast your stomach digests food, is responsible for feeling full in the brain, and it's responsible for stimulating the beta cells in your pancreas to secrete insulin when you need it. It ultimately makes you more insulin sensitive over time because it also reduces the amount of glucose that your liver makes on average, right? So all these things kind of come together to really help be metabolic regulators, right? They're metabolic modulators, and these metabolic modulators are really helping people, especially with type 2 diabetes and obesity. But there are a lot of things that stem out from obesity and diabetes as comorbidities go, and so it's helping with all of those too: blood pressure, cardiovascular disease. These medications are absolute game changers. So that's what we talk about on this channel. So make sure you give it a follow. If you're not a follower already, make sure you follow the channel. So one of the interesting things is that Zepbound is not just a GLP-1, because that's the buzzword that's thrown around, right? It's GLP-1, right? But Zepbound is actually GLP-1 plus GIP, so they've combined two elements, right? They're acting on two hormones, and they're basically just mimicking hormones that are naturally made in your body. But for those who have obesity and diabetes, you're totally dysregulated in those specific hormones, and that's what these medications, these metabolic modulators, help to fix. If you're just jumping in here, I'm Dave Knapp. Make sure that you hit follow the live creator, follow on YouTube, hit the thumbs up as well. Would love to have you along for the journey. I appreciate you being here. The algorithm probably find you because you at least have some sort of passing interest or browsing history at looking at things like Ozempic, Wegovy, Saxenda, Victoza, Trulicity, Mounjaro, or Zepbound. So the two pieces of news that we talked about today, thank you, Colin, I appreciate it. Make sure you hit follow the live creator if you're not following. The two pieces of news that we covered today are the fact that GLP-1s are now been shown to actually change your taste buds and actually act in your brain to help reduce sugar cravings, right? So if you have sugar addiction, GLP-1 medications are now being shown that they actually rewire your brain to not be rewarded by them in the same way they currently are. They actually do a revamping of your taste buds as well, so your taste buds actually change, and these are being shown in clinical studies. The second thing we learned is that top line Surmount data, when they took all the Surmount studies together, they found that women lose 26% of their body weight on average with tirzepatide versus men who only lose about 18%. And that's not even getting into the fact that type 2 diabetics lose even less on these medications as well, because again, they're metabolic modulators, and people with type 2 diabetes are dysregulated a lot more so than your average person. And so these medications are doing other things for diabetics that they're not doing, needing to do for people who aren't completely dysregulated. Thank you for those who have hit the thumbs up button on YouTube. I really appreciate it. It's good to have you here. So it's absolutely amazing what, as Peter said, these medications are absolute game changers in the treatment of metabolic disease, and so many people suffer from it. You may have a metabolic disorder and you don't even know it, because they're not really checking at the doctor's office for insulin levels, right? They're just checking your A1C. A1C is good. Well, not all A1Cs are created equal, because if you may be taking a thimble full of, requiring a thimble full of insulin, these are obviously arbitrary measurements, but a thimble full of insulin to keep your A1C down, where somebody else might be using a gallon of insulin, all right? Totally not the way you measure insulin in the body, but just as a visual representation. Somebody takes a milk jug and somebody takes a thimble. That's not created equal. Same A1C, way less insulin to control your blood sugar. And when you're taking a ton of insulin to keep your blood sugars down, hit that like if you're just joining, that thumbs up button. If you're taking a ton of insulin, you're creating an environment in your body that's not very conducive to weight loss, because insulin's number one job is to store fat, right? Insulin is not the enemy. Your body needs insulin to live, but high levels of insulin and insulin, a lack of insulin sensitivity is what we're trying to get away from. And these medications, by way of reducing the amount of sugar that your liver makes, because most people don't understand that even in the absence of sugar intake, your liver still makes sugar. Diabetics have this thing called the dawn phenomenon, where even in your fasting, you wake up in the morning, your blood sugar shoots up. Well, you're not eating, but your blood sugar is still shooting up. That's because in the absence of nutrient intake, your liver can still make sugar. And so what these medications do is they help reduce the amount of sugar that your liver makes. There's another medication that's done that for a very long time. It's been around for a long time. It's called metformin. But GLP-1s do that too, but they do so much more. They act in your brain to help you feel full. They reduce or increase the amount of time your body holds on to the food that you eat, so that you get a longer digestion period. They help you feel fuller in your brain. And so they're doing all these things that are ultimately creating an environment that's more conducive to the metabolic control that it takes to lose weight and be healthy. So I like to refer to them as metabolic modulators, but you've heard that of them as the weight loss shot, Ozempic, Wegovy, Saxenda, Victoza, Trulicity, Mounjaro, Zepbound. They're not just weight loss shots, they're metabolic modulators. And metformin, some people do still combine that with the GLP-1, but you've got to look out at that point, because you're having two drugs with a similar mechanism of action, and you got to watch your blood sugars at that point, because you don't want them to get too low. Well, I appreciate you all joining here today for this impromptu live. Thank you for being here. If you're on YouTube, thank you for being the best part of On the Pen with ManOnMounjaro. You wonder how I can talk so fast about that. It's because I do this all the time. That's what we do here on this channel. So if you want to learn here about these medications, stick around, hit that sub button. I really appreciate you all being here. Hit that thumbs up button. Make sure that you share this with somebody who might find it interesting, especially somebody who is exploring the idea of using something like Ozempic or Zepbound to help control their metabolic situation. So I hope that you'll stick around here. I hope you'll hit that like button. Thank you for those who gave gifts today. I really appreciate it. Thanks to for those who followed me. And one last plea to jump over to Instagram and follow at ManOnMounjaro. That's me over on Instagram, at ManOnMounjaro. Give me a follow there, because we're trying to get to 4,000 and we're very close. I just need your help to help get there. So if you could do that, I would greatly appreciate it. Otherwise, YouTube, thank you for being here and sticking around. Make sure you check out this past week's On the Pen Live, where we had CEO of Row, Zach Reitano, join us. You want to go back and check that interview out, because you have got to check it out. It was one of the best interviews that we've gotten a chance to do on this channel. Thank you for being here, Peter. It's good to see you in here again. Make sure you check out that interview On the Pen with Zach Reitano. We'll check you on the next one.